Yo, what's good, everyone? Today, I'm back at it again with another really exciting headline. Appointment setting without being annoying. This is cool, something I'm very passionate about because I think a lot of people are very annoying. And I'll show you how you can set appointments without being annoying. This is cool. And so, disclaimer, this is something I always have to say is I don't know what you sell. I know what I sell. I know it works for this. And so people always like sometimes when I make these videos or like in a group or give examples or sometimes in my tweets, people always go, oh, but like I sell this and there's like this minor nuance. So it wouldn't work. Obviously, you have to adapt it for different things, different scenarios, different offers, different, unique value propositions, different demographics you sell to, whatever it may be. Obviously you have to do that. And if you want help with this, I coach and close and paid. You should join that and we'll do it for you or help you with it, whatever you want to do. Anyways, so the reason I actually wanted to make this video is I had the idea to do this when all of my great ideas come, and that's when I review sales calls. This one setter in the group sent me a call to check out, and he was like, I'm just having trouble. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of friction on these calls. Try to book appointments. No one wants to get booked, whatever it is. And I was like, all right, check it out. And I kind of agree with the prospect. I was also annoyed by the call. I wouldn't have wanted to get booked on a call with this company either. And I don't think it's anything to do with like the setter themselves who sent me the call. It's more so to do with like the general or conventional misconception, I think, with a lot of like appointment setting tactics, strategies, whatever it is. The way in which I'll explain it is this whole dynamic of like, let me just ask you a couple questions to see if it's a good fit, right? Why is that annoying? That's annoying because you called them. Like, yeah, they opted in maybe a day or so ago. They wanted some more information. Maybe your ad was like kind of interesting. So they submit their information. And a couple of days later, they have an SDR call them saying like, hey, let me just ask you a couple questions to see if it's a good fit. And then inevitably you get like an A-type personality guy or just anyone who's just curious. Like, oh yeah, can you just like tell me what you do? I kind of don't remember what it is. And then the appointment setter doubles down. Well, like, let me just ask you a few questions to see if it's a good fit first. The guy's like, I don't even know what the fuck like you guys do. What's this about? What's the name of your company? Whatever. He's like, but I'm not sure if you're a good fit. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's like this weird dynamic. And I don't think that it's like the appointment setter's fault. Again, like I'll read a lot of sales scripts. It's all like that same exact thing. And a lot of companies set it up where like they call someone outbound. Maybe they opted in a few days ago. Maybe they've just been ghosting them and it's been weeks since they initially opted in. They probably forget about you. And like what they're leading with is, let me ask you a few questions to see if it's a good fit. That's annoying. If someone called me right now and started trying to qualify me when they called me out of the blue, I'd be very annoyed by that. And so I think that it's just important to kind of like understand that dynamic and like people's headspace where, oh yeah, maybe I did remember that. Okay, cool. Who are you? What do you do? Just like refresh my memory. Like that's what people want. And the big thing I noticed too is like a lot of those questions, I'll like ask the setters. I'm like, do you know why you asked this question? They're like, oh, it's in the script. I'm like, do you know if it actually makes any sort of difference? They're like, I don't know, probably not. Like how many people even watching this video, whether you're a setter or you're a closer, business owner, whatever, how many of you would just sell to anyone that had the minimum amount of money that you would accept to provide a good or a service or product or a course, a coaching program, whatever it is? And so if that's true, you don't need a bunch of fluffy questions. Like all you need to do is, hey, do you have X amount of money in your bank account? Okay, cool, pass it up. And so this is what this script is. We manage a couple offers now, and we manage several offers, but a couple of them are like kind of competitors in a way. Like they're in the same space, they're in the same industry. And so we kind of use the same like general script framework across all the different ones. And so like, this is like, I'm going to break it down. This is exactly how we do it. Obviously this isn't like a script verbatim. I actually recorded a 30-minute video I put in the group, just like going line by line through the script. Like I'm just going to like summarize here. You hopefully get the same idea. So first things first, just like introduction, right? Like high energy. This is a big tip. Write this one down is don't sound like you want to kill yourself. Because a lot of people who are cold calling all day, you have 200 dials and you have 300 dials, you're on Kixie just hammering away. You probably sound like you want to kill yourself at the end of the day. And to be honest, I don't blame you. Sometimes I listen back to my own sales calls and I kind of sound like I want to kill myself. So it's something you need to be aware of. So understand that, again, these people like opt in, like what like the specific CTA in the ad is. It's like request more information or like learn more, see how this works or something. And so like maybe it's like a subconscious thing, but like people click that button. That's like the next step. Oh, here's an intriguing ad. Let me learn more. They fall off the funnel, whatever it is. And you try like re-engage them a couple days ago. It's a weird thing to do to now just start qualifying them to see if it's a good fit. And so the way I wrote it in the script is like, yeah, introduce yourself, whatever. It's like, hey, you requested to learn more information. Do you have a few minutes so I can give you some more general information to see if you're interested for the full breakdown? If you are, I'll set you up with one of our closers. We have like account executives or whatever it is. One thing you can say here too is relevant information. That's a better word for it. But literally, like, the reason why you're saying this is like, hey, you opted in to learn more what we do. Can I tell you what we do? Like, you were the one that wanted to know. I'm just here to tell you. I think this is a much better dynamic to have on the call. The reason why I say this too is like throughout the script, like if you're having like assuming that you actually have like a relevant sales asset that explains what you do and isn't just some, like, I had a video about this like last week, like some fluffy VSL, spend more time with your family type shit. Like you can leverage that like throughout the SDR call. Well, people have questions, and I'll explain this later. People have questions, they're confused, they don't know, they want to know what this is. It's like you can be like, oh yeah, for sure, I'll give you some more relevant information on this call. After, I'll send you this resource, this video, a link to our YouTube channel, and it's going to tell you everything, how it works. It's just going to ease that in people's mind. They're like, oh, okay, cool. If I want to know how it works, I can do it. And this is cool. So after we ask that question, they're like, yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. This is like the only question I have them ask is this. And it's to understand the level of sophistication that they're coming in at. Again, I made a video last week about it. I don't know if I can figure out on YouTube how to link it. But basically, it's like, so we did this, like we sold PR a lot, right? So it's like, all right, cool. Are you selling the concept of PR to a complete beginner who has never used PR before? Or are you selling PR to someone who's tried some articles, worked with a couple companies, just didn't really work the way they wanted it to, but like they really want to get some articles. They're hoping you're better. They're hoping you're different. Those are two very different sales. And you need to speak to those people accordingly, right? And so even like a BizOp example, again, people are always like, oh, what if I sell a BizOp, right? So say you want to be like, I think in the video I used like a copywriting course example. So are you selling someone who works at Wendy's the concept of being a freelance copywriter? Or do you have someone who maybe they're making money online, maybe they are a copywriter, they just want to learn better ways to write copy, they want to, learn better ways to land new clients and scale their business? Because those are two very different things. I've actually reviewed calls and different offers that sell to those different demographics. You always ask those people, well, do you only get people who are brand new to copywriting, or do you get people who are copywriters, but they want to be better? You'd be surprised how many times it's like, honestly, like 50-50, right? Especially like the PR example, it's probably 50-50. So you need to sell to both those archetypes. In order to do so, you need to speak to them in a way that's relevant to them. And so literally what I'd have them ask is, are they completely new to what you sell, or are they experienced with it? And so the way we'd ask that question is basically saying, just to understand the context that you're coming in at, have you used service before or spoken to any companies, or are you brand new to this, just trying to figure out how it all works? Because they're just going to tell you exactly how they need to be sold. And then the next step, you'll never believe it, is just to give them that relevant information. Elevator pitch that meets them where they're at. And so obviously I wrote the script for both these. And this is not the script verbatim, but like I would just write down, okay, cool. Well, if someone's brand new to this, they need to be sold on the concept. Here's a high level overview that explains it to someone who's a complete beginner at a 5th grade reading level, so they can understand that. That's important. And then the space we're in is like very competitive. I'm familiar with a lot of the competitors, so I know like pros and cons and ways to position our offer depending on who they're speaking to. And so I'm like, oh, you speak to other companies? The setter asks, are you speaking to other companies? They say yes. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I know the claims they're seeing. And I know to some degree what they know. At least I know where their head's at. And so when I'm writing the script, I'm saying, well, what would they need to hear to actually be intrigued by our offer, as opposed to what other claims they're getting hammered with? And obviously, again, this is very specific to what we sell now, but I think it can still be extrapolated across all niches. Because if someone's familiar with what you're selling, what you need to do is just sell them why you're unique and stand out from the claims they've already seen. Again, you're meeting people where they're at, you're giving them relevant information to them. And then after that, you're like, all right, cool. So any questions? I mean, you almost have to do that. I think people are always like, oh, I don't want my setters answering questions. They're not smart. They're not savvy, whatever. People are going to ask questions anyways. Like if someone calls me out today, like I'm probably going to ask the setter questions, right? And so what I always tell them to do is to give a very, very concise answer, concise as possible, but then refer them to the sales assets or refer them to closer. I'm not like a huge fan of like the brushing it off, because like a lot of people just say, oh yeah, that's what you'll get on the call with our advisor or the free strategy session. That just annoys people. If they ask like 3 or 4 questions and the setter is just incompetent and cannot answer any of them, it's going to annoy people. It's going to piss people off. And honestly, I don't blame them. And so I think a better way to do that is just like, hey, here, yes, concise answer. Do you do X, Y, and Z? Yes, we do. This is how it works. 1 sentence. I will also send you over a resource explaining this more in depth, how that works. That way you can be more prepared for your call with our closer, right? One thing too, if you're a setter watching this, like just put it in Go High Level Notes, Close IO Notes. Oh, this guy was really asking questions about this, right? A lot of times what I'll do too, just like a tip, I tell the setters, like if you consistently get questions you know the answer to, just text me, whether I'm like a closer, a manager, or whatever it is, and I'll just tell them exactly how I want them to respond. And so like this be concise is like, I know the questions they're going to get asked. When I do, I'll tell them how to answer it. And then I'll go in like the Gamma Docs we send people pre-call. I'll put FAQ. This is the question. This is the answer. And so like by the time they're on a call with a closer, they're not annoyed. They're like, oh, okay, I got my questions answered. Oh, I read this document. Oh, that makes sense. And then maybe just come to the closing call with like a higher level intent, right? And then qualifications. You want to make sure you're not booking brokies, right? That's really important. Because British, this is what happens when we're UK Google program. Thanks, Rich. Anyways, so qualifications, like I mentioned at the very start of the call, I think a lot of people, if they're selling most services, like you're probably going to take people as long as they meet like minimum budget requirements. And obviously, if you are like a more established agency, you need people to meet X, Y, and Z criteria. Like, cool, you can ask more questions to really vet people out. But like for the ones we sell, I mean, it's expensive. They need like a minimum 20K. But if they have 20K that they agreed that they'd be able to invest, like just book them to a call. It's all we need, you know? And I've got on calls with competitors and they always ask like 5 or 6 different questions, kind of like dancing around the point. Huge waste of time. Stop doing that. And so let me see here. I think again, for qualifications too, like just don't ask them a bunch of irrelevant questions. That's why I like just saying, hey, you know, are you guys between X and Y revenue? Are you at least at 10K a month? Yeah. Okay, cool. Great. Book them up. That's all I really need to know. Right. You can also give a price range and just say, all right, cool. So before this call, just be transparent about pricing. We're typically looking at a minimum of like X to maybe Y per month, whatever it is. You know, would that be manageable number for you fall line? Yep. Okay, cool. Book it up. What we do is we say a minimum number. So we're like, cool. In order for this to make sense, you just need to have a minimum about $20,000 liquid, saved up, ready to invest. If all along, would that be manageable for you? That's all we say. And then you book the call. You don't need to ask them questions to see if they're a good fit. So that's all it is. That's appointment setting without being annoying. If you want to be not annoying, you could go to closeandpay.com. You could check that out. You can shoot me a message if you have questions. And yeah, there it is. Cheers.